Welcome back to the podcast. Today we have Julian. Are you here as Julian? Or are you here as, what's the blonde girl called?
I don't even know, I don't
Have
even
you
know
not
if it's
given
a
her a name?
girl. No, not really.
I can't tell whether it's a girl. I think it's just the wig that made me think it.
In my head, it was a guy.
But then everyone else thinks it's a girl.
That's the thing. So now it's just gender neutral.
I think
That can
very
work.
2023.
Yeah,
Very
exactly.
2023.
Yeah.
So Julian's obviously one of our earlier clients that we work with. Now he's part of the team. Some of the best content that I've ever seen on social media. That probably doesn't get the recognition it deserves, in my opinion. Like
It will soon.
It will soon. It's about to blow. I fucking love Julian's content. I think it's brilliant. It's hilarious because I think like if I hadn't got into coaching, like I'd definitely be like your kind of target market for sure. Like serious about training, but like not like too far down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
And yeah, like it fucking speaks to me sometimes. Like, you know, the ones you do about your carbs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. But we'll talk about your business a bit later.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into training? What was your first steps into the gym world?
I think I first started at the back of my recovery. I was really ill. I went through like a period of like depression. I had like an immune disease. I got like extremely skinny and just really, really ill. And that lasted about a year and a half. And then after that, I just found myself, feeling relatively fine, but obviously just really wanting to build my body. And to be honest with you, if I was to like really go back, I wanted a muscular body when I was a kid. I remember playing with like Action Man.
Yeah. I was very
and
similar.
thinking I want to look like that when I grow up.
Yeah.
So I think I just really always wanted it. And so I just really got into training, not really knowing much about it. I remember one of the first years of getting into the gym, I was doing Kung Fu. So I was doing martial arts with my brother. And that's how I got into it. And then obviously I developed a passion for it. And then you start learning more about it. And that's more or less it. I can carry on.
Action Men.
Yeah,
Action Men.
exactly.
Yeah, to be fair, I think most like lads that get into the gym, so I think some get in it later, like through insecurities, and I think that plays maybe a small role in it, but I don't think it's as big as people say it is. Like, I think it's, when I was like younger, when I was growing up, I'm a bit older than you, I think, but like gladiators was a thing. So like the gladiators were like the big muscly guys that were you know, the people that you had to beat. Wrestling. Yeah. I was a massive wrestling fan. 100%. And like every funny enough, right? Have you ever met any of them in person?
No.
I used to think it was lies, you know, like on wrestling where it's like 6'7", 300 pounds. I was like, of course he is. They are.
They're
Mate,
huge.
Hulk Hogan is one of the biggest people that I've ever seen.
Really?
He's
To be fair, you can kind of
enormous.
tell from the movies.
He's fucking huge. I just went, it was one of them that, you know, that's shocking. So I saw him at Body Power, funny enough.
Is it?
I went to Body Power, and Body Power is shocking usually in the other way, because when you meet all these bodybuilders, you're like,
very
you're
disappointing.
tiny.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, and even though they look huge in person, like if you put their arm next to someone who's like 6'4", you're like, your arm's about the same size as someone who's 6'4". You're just really small. Yeah. But then mate, Hulk Hogan like walked through and he's with security, and he had like 4 security guards with him, and the security guards weren't small, and he's just dwarfed them all. And at that point, I was like, they're not fucking about. And they say these guys are massive, like they are.
Yeah.
And it's not. So yeah, like wrestling for me, gladiators and anime like Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah, 100%. Dragon Ball was a massive one. Yeah,
because I used to come home from school and watch it on Cartoon Network.
Yeah. And I don't know if you watched it back. Well, actually, you said you were watching it back during COVID, but it's so slow.
Oh, it takes ages, doesn't it, to get anywhere? I think that's why I watched it in COVID.
There's one thing happening. There's like 3 hours for only one fight to happen.
Yeah. They did another series afterwards where they like condensed it all. I think it was called Dragon Ball Kai or something like that, and they like took out all the really long bits.
Okay.
It was actually quite gory as well. Like if you go back and watch it, like they get fucked up. Like they're on their deathbed, and you're like watching this 13-year-old kid like, this is so cool. So they went back and they took all like the blood and stuff like that out, and they shortened all the episodes. So like it was more like watchable for kids nowadays.
Yeah, for
I don't
sure.
think they'd have watched it nowadays, to be fair, with the attention spans of some kids.
Yeah, probably not.
Because you're right, you'd watch someone power up for a whole episode. Like if someone's doing a spirit bomb, it'd take like 3 episodes for them to
Yeah,
get.
yeah,
And you're
yeah,
like,
yeah.
even out, the kid was like, right, come on now.
Yeah,
Like, hurry up.
Exactly, yeah. And it was such an annoying scream as well.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But-
But I still think if they put it on like Netflix or something, people would watch it.
Yeah,
It's more about the platform nowadays than it is.
Yeah, so it's actually on Crunchyroll. It's like a Japanese anime like style of
Okay.
Netflix called Crunchyroll, and it's on there.
Okay.
There's a new film out soon that I can't wait for. It's coming out to watch. Just as a plug. Not that I'm being paid by Crunchyroll. So yeah, so that was your first substance. Were you over in the UK at that time, or is this?
No, I wasn't actually. I moved to the UK 10 years ago. I didn't know a word of English.
Did you not? So did you watch it? Did you watch Dragon Ball Z in Italian then?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which was dubbed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they spoke Italian. Yeah.
Should have just watched the subtitles, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
probably,
It'd have
yeah.
been much better. What? I've never asked you this. Why did you move to the UK?
I moved to the UK because of music.
Really?
Yeah,
Go
yeah.
on. That's a bit of a broad. Go on.
Well,
Why?
the thing is, you know, like I spoke about this actually with the other coaches when we met the other day. Like I think I was born an artist, if I'm completely honest. I think the coaching side of things.
You're very deep for a bodybuilder.
I appreciate that.
I find.
No, but yeah, like I think the coaching side of things, like this works.
Yeah.
It works, but I don't think I was born for it. I had to learn it.
Yeah.
And I think it's based on obviously like all the life experience that I have, the passion that I have for the actual sport, and just self development in general. And I think that made it work, as well as me getting obsessive over it, because
Yeah.
I get like obsessed with things. But I think I was born as an artist, if I'm honest. And I think that's probably why like content is creative.
I was going to say
Yeah.
that. Yeah, it definitely shines through. Like your content is so well put together sometimes that it's definitely like, I think, a normal skill. But you're not skirting around that question. Why did you come to the UK for music? Were you in a band?
Well, I just studied music my whole life, and you know, going back to like being ill and depressed, you know, that's music is what really got me out of it. So I used to just spend days writing songs. I basically I started playing piano when I was 4 years old.
Wow.
And I mean, this is gonna get quite deep. Don't know,
Nah,
don't know how
we're
deep
down
you
the
want to
rabbit
get
hole
into
now.
it.
We're down the
Well,
rabbit
for me,
hole now.
music is always been a way to communicate with my mom.
Okay.
That was the only way me and my mom would kind of communicate.
It's like a shared passion.
Well, not even that. I think we were never good at communicating. Obviously, there's a whole story behind it, but I think when I was playing is when she was listening.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that's how, you know, that's how I made that connection, and I developed, you know, and I thought I was going to be a musician. I thought that's what I was going to do. And I think if I had a talent, it would definitely be that. Like I'm really good at writing songs. That's one thing.
I've never. Oh, to be fair, I have heard a song.
Yeah, that's a jingle, right? But but yeah. And so I moved to the UK to do music, and that's what I did for quite a while. Obviously, initially, like I had like a shit job. My first job in London was as a kitchen porter. I was fucking washing dishes.
Was it in an Italian restaurant?
It wasn't actually. It was Café Rouge in Euston Station.
French. The bastards.
Yeah, French.
Yeah, I know. You should have gone to an Italian restaurant, mate. They'd have lapped it up with your accent.
Probably, yeah. I didn't
I
even
think
have an
sometimes
accent.
they
I just
put it
couldn't
on.
speak.
That's why
Honestly,
you weren't.
yeah.
You're so Italian, you couldn't even take the order.
Exactly. Yeah.
So kitchen porter, washing. I've done some jobs, right?
Yeah.
That one I've never done. I don't
No.
think I could ever work in a restaurant, or I just see the way that some people speak to waiters and stuff like that, and I think I'd end up headbutting someone.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, yeah, I don't know. For me, it was all about like the excitement of being in London,
Oh, I
you
can
know,
imagine.
running away from home, you know.
Did you run away?
Well, I mean, I didn't run away, but more or less.
Escaped in the middle of the night.
Yeah,
I didn't
exactly.
specifically run.
Yeah.
Jog pretty quick.
Yeah.
So where you were in Italy, was it quite like quiet? Or was it quite like a built-up city? I don't even know where you're from. I know you're from Rome, aren't you?
Rome, yeah.
Oh, very
yeah.
built-up city then.
Yeah. I wasn't like in a city centre, but yeah, it was quiet. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been like in Rome, that it like not the city centre, but just like in Rome.
No, I've been slightly outside. There's like a square isn't there? Is that the? There's probably lots of squares.
I don't know.
When you go outside of like Rome Centre, there's a square where all like the locals eat. Is it like Trevi? Not Trevi, that's the fountain.
Yeah, that's still the city
Is
centre.
it still the city
Yeah,
centre?
yeah.
The only other place I've been near Rome is like the port.
Okay,
I don't even know. I'm not gonna bastardize its name.
that's
Is
fine.
it Civitavecchia or something like that?
Civitavecchia.
There you go.
Yeah,
You see how he goes back into the time? Yeah. So that's why I didn't want to say it, because it's actually quite a mouthful.
Yes. Yeah, it is.
But yeah, I've
actually.
been there. That's quite quiet.
Yeah. No, I mean Rome is quiet. It's definitely not as hectic as London, but
London's another level of hectic though, because
Yeah.
I didn't go to London when I was a kid, and I've started going as an adult, and like it's still hectic to me. Like the tube still blows my mind.
yeah. I
The
never.
fact that exists, and nowhere else in the UK does it exist, but like just in
Oh
London.
yeah, that's true actually.
It's mad that, innit?
Yeah,
Because like I'm thinking, does Barcelona have a tube?
maybe. Don't know. Never been.
I don't know, but anyway,
We
like
got a tube in Rome, but
there's a tube in Rome.
yeah.
So
It's
like,
shit, but
a lot of major cities have tubes, but like Manchester doesn't have anywhere near. We have the metro, which is I wouldn't recommend. But then yeah, like London's got this thing, and it boggled me. It boggled me how like thousands of people would be like sandwiched onto these things.
yeah.
Like all different walks of life as well. Like some people like worked in finance in the city, other
Yeah.
people like, because in Manchester, like you either drive, if you get the bus, like you get the bus. Like most people drive. A lot of people, you know, if you're like working in finance, something like that, you wouldn't get the bus into the city centre.
Okay.
Whereas in like London, like everybody gets the tube.
Yeah.
Like doesn't matter how rich you are. Like
You don't want to drive in London. That's
no,
also
I
the
can
thing.
imagine. Yeah, it's nearly impossible.
Yeah.
But
I
yeah,
mean, I
so
don't drive anyway, but every time I take a Uber, it's just
takes
terrible.
longer, doesn't it? Like
Yeah.
you look at it, you're like, how does it take 18 minutes by tube, but 47 minutes by car?
Yeah, exactly.
The thing I had to learn in London was like walking sometimes was faster than getting the tube as well.
Yeah.
Like you look at it and you're like, 18 minutes by tube, oh, that's all right.
But
And
to
then
be
you
fair, you
realise it's
can-
like a 7-minute walk. And you're
Yeah,
like,
yeah. But you can walk to like tube to tube.
Yeah.
Yeah, station to station. They're all walking distance from each other anyway.
It's fucking crazy, isn't it? It's a mad city. How old are you when you came over?
19.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what did you end up doing? Did you have to like, where did you stay at first?
That's a funny story. Not a lot of people know this actually. I was in a hostel for one night, and I had just enough money to rent a room. I rented a room, but I couldn't get in for like 2 nights. They needed to prepare or whatever, so I ended up sleeping in fucking King's Cross.
Really?
For 2 nights.
You slept rough for 2 nights?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Do you know what? It wasn't as bad as I
I've
thought.
done a night in an airport, to be fair, with a story that I'm not going to tell live on camera.
Why?
We were in France. It's a long story.
But the thing is, it's similar to when you go to the airport. Like, obviously, I didn't sleep much.
Yeah.
I was like moving from like
you lay
corner to
down
corner.
overnight somewhere.
I remember getting a really nice sleep 2 days after, that's for sure. As soon as I had a bed. But yeah, it wasn't as bad, to be fair.
How much did you have in your pocket when you came over to England then?
I think I had about like 600 quid.
That was it.
Yeah, I remember my first room in Leighton costed about 300 quid. I think the same room right now is probably like 3 times the price.
I can imagine. Yeah.
London was a lot cheaper back then, to be fair.
But like single room, did you have your own bathroom, shared bathroom?
No, single
Sink
room.
in your bedroom?
No.
You didn't have a sink in your bedroom?
No. It was literally just a single bed.
Sometimes if you're lucky, you get a sink.
Yeah,
You get
probably.
just to brush your teeth and stuff like that, but like obviously then you share the toilet.
Yeah.
So
it was
less than
everything shared.
university accommodation then.
Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't
University, you get a sink at least.
great. Do you?
Yeah, I remember being in Salford's uni halls at the time, and there was a rumor, right, that they got the beds from Strangeways, which is the prison, like because the beds weren't quite a single; they were like less than a single, and it was fucking mate. It was horrible. There was a sink, a mirror, and this prison bed, and a wardrobe, like a 2x2 wardrobe, and that was it. And I was thinking, fuck me, like this is rough in here. Like, is this the pinnacle of education in the UK? But I'm assuming like that must have been mad at. I guess it's a bit like, you know, going to university, I guess.
Yeah, I suppose.
You're like university age, right?
Yeah, 19. Yeah.
Most people go to university with more than 600 quid in the pocket though and don't have to sleep rough in a train station until the accommodation's really.
I suppose.
So you had it a bit harder. So then worked as a porter.
Yeah.
What happened with the music career?
Well, I joined a band, and
As you do.
yeah,
As you do.
and it was actually funny because that's how I learned to speak. Because I joined a band not really knowing much of English.
Yeah.
And obviously they were all British from Watford. So that's how I learned to communicate and, create relationships and,
So you didn't speak a fucking word of English?
No.
and then joined the band?
Yes.
How did you join the band if you didn't speak English?
Honestly, I don't know. Do you remember Gumtree? Does it
Gumtree's still a
exist?
thing, yeah?
Yeah? Okay. Yeah. So I remember like putting up some sort of post.
Did you Google Translate it?
It wasn't that bad.
Okay, so you could write some English, you just couldn't speak it.
Yeah, I couldn't speak much, but I think what I was really struggling with was understanding people when they spoke to me. Because I never fucking heard people.
And English people are so shit at like helping people out that are foreign as well. Like nobody like slows down or like tries to help.
But the thing is, you're supposed to know a little bit of English, I think.
Like, I think that's really ignorant.
It's a universal language.
I feel like English people go abroad and like they'll go to Spain, for example, and they'll be like absolutely like shocked if the waiter doesn't speak English. They'll like speak to me in Spanish. They'll be like, I'm English, and the Spanish guy will be like, so we're in fucking Spain.
Yeah.
And I think English people actually do get quite like offended. Like, service is terrible here. They don't even speak English, and you're like, you're in their fucking country. So, but we don't help. Like, I don't think. Like, we speak really quickly, even at like people that don't speak English.
But that kind of helped in a way to...
Because you had to just get used to it.
Learn faster, yeah. But it's so funny, actually, because obviously I joined the band. They found me in Gumtree, basically, and they heard one of my songs, and they must have really liked the song, even though I couldn't really speak the language. But obviously I joined the band as, being me, like all shy, not really understanding what people are saying to me, to actually developing a personality as I was learning the language.
Yeah.
And I think that definitely created a bit of contrast with everyone in a band, and I became a bit of a dick.
Did you?
Yeah, I've got to admit it. Yeah.
How so?
I think I was just, and do you know what? I was actually thinking about this the other day, like related to business.
Yeah.
Because I'm at that stage now with my business where I'm not a one-man band anymore. And I think me scaling further from now on, it's about managing people.
Yeah, for
Not
sure.
just managing people, it's like getting people involved, right? And also getting people passionate about what we're doing so that they actually do a good job.
Yeah.
So, and I think what really went wrong there is like, I just wanted to do everything by myself. So just write all the songs, write all the parts for everyone else. And I was just so like emotionally attached, to the music that I just didn't really allow anyone to have their own space of,
So do you think you joined the band maybe because you didn't speak any English and it was the only real avenue that you had to make music, but realistically you probably weren't built to be in a band at that point?
Yeah, I don't...
Because that doesn't strike me like somebody that wants to be part of a team, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, but that I think, I don't know. I think I was probably doing music for the wrong reasons anyway, if I'm completely honest. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, it taught me a lot, for sure. It's an experience that taught me a lot. And even now that I'm doing business, there's things that come up and I'm like, no, I'm not going to make this mistake again. Yeah. I'm going to let, this person do what they want to do, express themselves and so on. So it was definitely, a good experience in that sense.
How did you get into personal training then?
Well, again, like obviously I was like training and, just exploring my passion for bodybuilding, if we can call it that. And obviously like with music, you don't make a lot of money.
I can imagine.
Even if you have an audience, unless you make it really, really big.
There's no like average musician salary, is there? It's like you're either dirt poor or a millionaire.
Yeah,
like,
or you have to teach an instrument.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you get a side gig, but it's not directly like music.
Exactly. So I was like, I need a job. I was like, so I just did a personal training course, and I just joined the gym group, and I became a PT there. And business was quite good. Again, like initially it's just all very exciting, right? Because you're just doing it for the first time. And then I got really comfortable. And then I moved back to London because at that time I was in Watford.
Okay.
So obviously all the band members were there. So moved back to London. I think that's when things really started to change for me. But I never really thought about online coaching up until COVID. I think for most people that was the case.
Yeah,
but
it's very common.
Yeah.
Very common. What was the transition like from that?
I think, because the thing is, I think I created, some sort of system that was based on the coaching that I got from, like bodybuilding coaches, and I thought that's online coaching. It's me fucking checking in on WhatsApp, like them sending me pictures when they want to, and obviously like selling it really, really cheap. So that's how I started, and it didn't actually go that bad either. I think it's because of, again, like the content I was putting out there, also like the clients that I had in the gym. But obviously, like the transition was quite drastic. I remember in Feb 2020, I made about like $8,000 in the gym, and then March 2020, I made 400 quid.
Bit of a drop.
Right? Yeah. So you had to kind of reinvent yourself, right? Plus, no one had weights. Like no one really could like properly work out.
I found that really difficult to coach.
Yeah.
I found it really difficult to coach because I found it very difficult to train.
Yeah.
During lockdown, because like my brain was going like, this is fucking pointless. Like, I'm used to like deadlifting and benching and using heavy. That would, my whole training career would have been like using heavy weights. So then for somebody to try and like be like, hey, here's a cross trainer, here's a suspension trainer, I was like, fuck that. Absolutely.
Also, what it is that initially we all thought it was going to be like a 2 months thing.
Yeah, that
and you were like,
it was
oh,
supposed
that's 2
to be
months.
like, it was supposed to be like weeks, and then it turned into months, and then it turned into a couple of years. And it opened and shut again as well. So you got these like brief like flashes of like, I can go back to the gym, and then like, we shut it down again. You're like, oh.
Yeah.
It was a fucking nightmare.
That's the thing. I think it was very easy for a lot of people to create like a bad momentum.
Yeah.
But yeah.
How did that feel for you? Because, obviously you've come over, joined the gym group, music, then it kind of all just went shoo.
Yeah.
Like, what was it like for you to maybe not think about going home, or like, was there any kind of thoughts of that? Because like I found it really isolating, and we at the time were living in like just south of Birmingham in Sollai, and like because I grew up in Manchester. I'm from Manchester, so like, and I live there now, obviously, but that's only like 2 hour drive. But even being a 2 hour drive away from like where I grew up, felt like I'd been massively just like locked in this weird place that I wasn't allowed to leave.
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
To be honest with you, I before I was this busy, I still enjoyed my own company, if I'm completely honest. So I didn't really think about going back. Like for me, that's never been an option, if I'm completely honest. Like even when I go back now, like I can't stay for more than 2-3 days. I'm
not that going home though. Like I turn up, but like, are you staying over? I'm like, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Sometimes you might think, maybe I fancy it. Then you go there and you're like, nope.
Prove myself right again.
Yeah.
I'm not that bad, but I know Charlotte sometimes like goes home and she's like, I'm coming back early.
Yeah.
I think it's just, if you grow up like with a certain dynamic in a certain way, I think some people just, I feel like for me, like when I left home, like everything got better. And it wasn't because my home life was particularly bad. It's just because that wasn't the environment that I do well in.
Yeah,
Don't know why.
Sure.
Like I couldn't give you like a specific, like, this is why I don't like staying at home. But definitely like when I left home, like my relationship with my parents got loads better. Like I just got loads better as a person. I think I don't know. Maybe I got mollycoddled a bit at home, to be honest with you, and I didn't really have to like learn how to do stuff for myself. I stayed there for the first year of business because like my mum used to just cook all my food and do all my washing and stuff like that. I found it easier, but I think I was like fucking 27 as well. So I think I needed to move out to like get some independence and stuff like that. But yeah, so obviously business transitioned over in COVID. What was the biggest like turning point for you with regards to the business?
Definitely joining you.
You're not supposed to say it. No, like
No.
stop it.
No, honestly.
No, but like within the business, like what was the biggest turning point for you? Like what realizations did you make where you're like, right, maybe I need to do this or do that.
There's loads, and when like you ask this question to people, and then people can like pinpoint like I don't know 2-3 things maybe, but and then things kind of really started to change from that point onwards. For me, it was like just really slow and gradual, increase, and with that, a lot of breakthroughs and realizations, came through. Definitely a massive one was just being myself unapologetically.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge one for a lot of coaches, a lot of people, especially like if you do things on social media, you feel like you have to put on a persona.
Yeah.
You have to fit in, when in reality, like the more different you are and the better.
Yeah.
Because it's not even about being relatable. It's just about, being unique or just doing something different.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think a lot of the things that like people are afraid of showing and they're insecure about it, they're actually their biggest strengths and they don't even know it. And that was definitely the case for me,
Did you squash your creativeness at first, like when you did your social media?
Yeah, I think.
So I remember when you started with us, like your social media was like really
quite
like
flat.
Bodybuildery, because you were in really good shape, but like it was very like serious.
Yeah.
And now you're in a wig for half your videos and like making jingles and stuff like that. And your content's always been high quality, but I think there was definitely like not a lot, or there was only certain parts of your personality like shown on your old content compared to your new stuff, or more recent, maybe 12, 18 months.
Yeah.
What was the reason behind that? Like, why didn't you do that before? Because clearly always been there, like in your head, because your brain just doesn't start working that way.
No, yeah, of course. I think again, like it was just like a lot of self-doubt, a lot of insecurities. And I think probably like part of it was also really committing to it. What really changed, like one of the things that changed the most for me in the past few months is that I just became my work. Like there is, we were talking about it earlier, there's no distinction from like Julian, like personal life and Julian work. Like I just fucking work all the time, and I might be out and at some point I get an idea for content, I'd just fucking write it down. And yeah, I mean, this is another thing. Like I always had a very obsessive personality, and I thought that was a problem.
Yeah.
Then I realized that actually my mind, like probably most people's mind, is just a very powerful thing. And you just really need to learn like where to channel that energy and how
you need to point
use
it in the right way.
Exactly, yeah, because it obviously can become really destructive, like really self-destructive, or just really constructive.
I think those are the best kinds of people that do things maybe like out of the ordinary. I think my brain is very much like that. It's either I'm really, really focused on things so like sports and business and stuff like that. Like I didn't drink when I was a teenager, like 15 and 16, but that's just because of everyone else was drinking. But like 18, 19, nearly up to 20, I didn't drink at all, because I was just playing sport, and I was like, I don't need to drink. I've got football on Sunday. I do weights on Saturday, recovery day on Monday. I don't want to be hungover for that because I need to fucking recover. Then I'm back in practice on Tuesday. Like that really kept me like centered on it. And then when I got injured and I knew that my career was never going to be the career that I wanted, then I started drinking more. And like at uni, I was out like 3-4 times a week then. I did uni backwards. So usually everyone like batters it year one, goes out all year one. Second year, freshers week is still quite heavy. And then towards the end of like year 2, you're like, right, I probably should fucking sort myself out now and start knuckling down. And then third year, people are like, right, I need to focus on my studies. I was at the opposite. First year, I got 92%. Because I just didn't go out. I went to all my lectures. Year 2, freshers week was a bit rocky, but third year, I think my attendance was like 30%. They actually pulled me in and they were like, your attendance is at the point where we should kick you out. And I was like, yeah, but I'm passing stuff. And they were like, yeah, but like you're supposed to participate. Like it's not the point. You're supposed to be here learning. I'm like, I'm following it back. And like that was genuinely because like I just didn't have anything positive to focus on. And then when like I was teaching at first, like again, I was very much like that. Like I was just focused on teaching, like handled the workload really well. Then my dad got ill, like I started going out a lot more and like drinking, I think to kind of cope with that. Then everything kind of derailed again. And then after my accident, I wasn't working. And then that was a period where and then when I got into business, never had any issues after that.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a lot of work that needs to be done on myself that I'm papering over with the business. But I still think I'm like that anyway.
Yeah.
Like if you put me on video games and I find a video game that I like, I'll play video games like all day.
Yeah.
Like all day.
Yeah.
I could watch marathons of TV all day. Like when I was like younger, I used to watch like box sets and I'd get really invested in the program that like when it ended, like I'd feel a bit weird.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, it's over. And those people are just, they're not those people. They're like, oh, it's weird. Like I can't watch them in anything else. Like they're this person. So I think I used to get like really into stuff.
Yeah.
And I think if you've got one of those brains, you either throw yourself into it like really, really heavily, either something positive or potentially something.
You can really go down a rabbit hole.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
And I think it's part of the way some people's brain works, to be honest with you. And I wouldn't know. I'm not like a psychologist. I wouldn't know how to fix that. But I think if you get the right things and you channel it in the right way, it can be really beneficial for you as well.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And I think, like at the end of the day, like, there's different individuals. Like we are a community, right? So, the world needs people that work 9 to 5 and the world needs people that are creative and, and change the world or change a field. I'm pretty sure that all the most influential people in whatever business, they were quite obsessed with it. Otherwise, how do you really bring the changes to it?
And I think you've got to enjoy it to that point as well. Like you don't usually obsess over things that you don't get some sort of pleasure from. Even the destructive things, there's some element of like a dopamine rush with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I think you've got to get that out of your business. And if you don't, you're probably not going to obsess over it in that way. And I think, I know you are because I spoke to you about it like before, but it's just chasing that kind of next level of growth because I know your financial situation and I know actually what your day-to-day financial situation needs. And you're like well in excess of like how you live your life, like way in it, of how you actually like, for you to be happy with like the numbers that you need, you're way in excess of that,
sure.
like way over.
For sure.
I remember when we had one of our like first like meetings where we like went over the finances of the business and I was like, yeah, but Julian, like what do you need to pay yourself? And you're like, I'll pay myself this. And I'm like, do you live off that? And you're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And you're like, what do you, and he's like, oh, my gym membership and food.
Yeah. Rent.
Yeah. Supplements.
Not even that.
No. He's like, that's about it really. I'm like, clothes? And he's like, not really, no.
I wear the same shit.
No, not really. Sometimes I go back home, but that's going back home. I don't know. Any kind of, no, not really.
Yeah. So I bought myself a pair of Balenciaga.
I've seen you wear them.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very not like you. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. But that's the thing. Like that's when it was last year around, I think July, that I started to make like really good money. As you said, like obviously quite a big excess to what I actually needed. So I was in Selfridges with my ex and I saw this pair of Balenciaga and I thought of you, I thought of Reese and I was like, there must be something about this. So
they're real uncomfortable, aren't they?
Well, actually, I
Do you like them?
Yeah,
I find them really big. I always fall down the stairs.
Yeah, that's true. They are fucking huge, yeah. But I bought them and I was like, nah, like I actually don't give a fuck. Yeah. Like I can buy them, obviously, but I'm just really not interested.
You get no emotional like feedback from...
Yeah. I wear them because I like them, but I could have easily just paid 20 quid for it. Well, maybe not 20 quid, but like 60 quid. Yeah.
So is that your last foray into the designer world then?
Yeah, I think so.
I had to try it, see whether I enjoyed them.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just,
How did you feel about the pedo campaign then? That's the only pair of designer shoes.
I haven't actually read that much about it.
But on purpose. You're like, the only designer pair of shoes I made was a terrible, terrible PR campaign.
Yeah, to be fair, I bought them before I knew about it. So
do you still wear them?
Sometimes.
Ooh, controversial.
I can stop wearing them if you like.
Hey,
if it offends you.
No, it makes no difference to me, mate. It makes no difference. You're the one wearing them.
Yeah, well.
But no, like obviously the business has grown pretty... It has been really steady now that you've mentioned it. Like yours is probably one of the more clockwork, like just
steady growth.
literally like no big jumps really anywhere, like nothing.
Well, January was a bit of a
January
jump,
was a very big jump. That's like so recent. But up to that point, it was like, there was never like, other than January, there was never one point where we looked at the business and went, fucking hell, like that's jumped up huge. It's just been like steady.
Yeah.
How do you think you've kind of managed that steady growth? Like,
I think it's about like managing the day to day, and also it's learning how to surf, right? Because that's how business works. It comes in waves, right? So I think when you're down, you just, you have to not panic, still do, everything that you usually do exactly the same way. If anything, you want to pull back a tiny bit more and just kind of reassess things that perhaps could be working better.
Yeah.
And on the contrary, when you're up, you're just gonna fucking ride the wave, right? So you just keep pushing with the things that are working well. So I think it's just, being stable and understanding that there's ups and downs. And that actually will just create consistency with the...
Yeah, it averages out, doesn't it?
Yeah.
As long as I think it's your emotional attachment to the up and downs that really messes PTs up. I think any business has a natural oscillation. And I think a lot of people just get carried on it too much and they're like, oh my God, I've had a really good month. Oh my God, last month isn't as good as the month before, everything's going to fall apart. And then you're like, maybe we've cracked it again and we're going to go to like £1 million. And then you're like, no, it's fucked again.
Yeah.
That's really exhausting if you get caught up in that.
Yeah, for sure.
You don't really get caught up in much though, do you?
Not as much anyway. I think, as you said, like also the fact that I don't really spend that much money on myself helps.
Yeah. Yeah, your back's not against the wall at any point, really.
Exactly, yeah. That's the reality of things. And, there's like recent things that happened where, inside a team, within the business that, kind of made me wonder, what if I lost everything?
Yeah. Simon's just fell over a wire, by the way, if anyone's wondering. He's not pulled anything important out, has he?
Just your camera.
Only my camera?
Sorry. It's all right.
Oh, it's all right. You're only the person that's solely in charge of doing that kind of stuff.
It's all right. I do it once every so often, mate. And we're back.
What was I saying?
I think we're live. Are we?
Yeah, we're back.
Something about...
Oh yeah, what if I lost everything? Yeah. I think I'd be all right, because what I've really earned, like what I've really got now, is a set of skills that I can just fucking rebuild everything back up. And you know what? It's the fucking game. Right? That's how it is.
I used to worry about that loads, and then you're right, I had exactly the same realization that like I could just sell. Like if you can sell stuff and you've got a skill set, like I could either go work for someone else and just go work in sales, or like, I don't know, some kind of like project management role or something like that.
I can't see you working for anyone.
No, I can't. I'm a fucking nightmare. But that's shown by somebody you've seen.
I'm working for you now.
Yeah, working to my team. I don't like to think of it that way.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is a weird like realization when you get to that though, that like you've built yourself up to such a point that you feel like there probably will never be a point where you go back to it.
Yeah, do you know what? Like Sam actually asked me this the other day. He was like, do you ever get the thought of just quitting everything and just, getting a normal job?
Sam worries though. That's Sam's problem. Sam worries.
Yeah.
What was your answer?
I thought about it and I was like, do you know what? No. And I never think about it.
You know what? One of the things that like is really big for me in having your own business is like you said, because it's something that is you and something that is like a continuous thing. Since I launched my business, and I genuinely, like hand on heart, I've never once looked at the clock and thought, fuck me, I can't wait for like today to finish. Because it never does finish.
Yeah.
Because it's just an ongoing...
It's an extension
It's
of
just
yourself.
life.
Yeah.
It's just life. But like, obviously I've worked like as a ground worker, I've worked in Tesco's, I've worked in McDonald's, I've worked in a gym, and every single, like as a teacher, every single one of those jobs I've been like, 20 more minutes of this. Can't wait. Or like, I can't wait till I get my break. Like fucking 4 more hours. And it's really cool to like not have to do that, because I'm sure you did it like washing dishes, right? You're like, God, it's only been an hour. I feel like I've been here all day. and not have to, like, going back to that, I think would scare the shit out of me. I don't think I could cope.
I think you can only cope with that if you have something else on the side. So you go through the sacrifice of going to work.
Yeah.
So then you can go home and, like, I don't know, to like your wife and kids. Like, if you have like a really good relationship, that's what your life is really about.
Yeah, for sure.
Then you can have like a 9-to-5 job or a job that you don't really like. But at the same time, why not have both?
Yeah.
You know?
I genuinely think there's people with 9-to-5s that fucking love it, that don't look at the clock.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I do. I can't fathom, not in today's age. I can't fathom it. I know why people do it, because the fear of the unknown is not worth it for them to, you know, if you've got other people that depend on you and stuff like that, it's very easy for you to be like, oh, my dreams don't really matter. I just need to make sure that these people are looked after and I do what I need to. But there are young people with no real need to be in certain jobs that just take jobs for the sake of, like, it's a decent salary, or they just stay in it for the sake of it because that's what they've trained in. Like, so many people, like, continue doing university when they decided halfway through second year that they're never going to fucking do anything.
How much do you think the family is involved in this, you know, this process? Because I think a lot of, especially from our generation, you know, a lot of parents are like very fixated on getting like a stable job. Like, my parents, obviously, like, communication with my parents is not amazing, but my parents have no idea what I do. Like, they don't understand what I do. I told my dad the other day, I was like, I made 24K. I was like, no, that is not possible.
Is that what he said?
Pretty much, yeah. So yeah, how much do you think family is involved?
A lot. Like, but when I was younger, like, I always, like, had these, like, mad things that, like, I'd always have something, like, peddling on the side for some reason. Like, I remember selling CBD at one point. You know, when CBD started to become a thing, I'd, like, go and get it off this guy that was shit at selling it. He could make it, but, like, he could get hold of it, but, like, he wasn't very good at selling it. So I used to go and buy him off him at, like, a wholesale price, and then I'd sell them on Instagram. And then I only stopped that because I couldn't be fucked to keep going to the post office. My organisation was shit. So I'd go to the post office and send 2, and then go home, and then someone else would order them, and I'd be like, oh fuck, I've got to go back to the post office. And for the life of me, I don't know why I didn't just wait till the end of the day and box all the orders together and go in one go. But you live, you learn. But I was always doing stuff like that, and, like, I was like, Dad, like, this is gonna be it now. Like, it's gonna go off. Like, I've sold 20 of these bottles, and he's like, oh yeah, all right, whatever. And then my mum's very, like, get a stable job. So, like, when I left teaching, she was like, what about the pension? And I'm like, Mum, you don't get the pension till you're 65. I'm like, I'm 25. Like, I think I was 25 or 26. And I was like, Mum, like, I'm 25. Like, you're talking about something that's 40 years in the future. And she was like, yeah, but you need to start thinking about those things now. And, like, school was always something that, like, my mum and dad, like, well, my mum more so than my dad. My dad's got, like, no GCSEs or qualifications. And my mum didn't, to be fair, either, but then went back to college and, like, retrained. Being a teacher, obviously, she's big on education.
Or she's a teacher herself?
Well, she's a teaching assistant.
Okay.
But she does teach now. She's been doing it that long. She does, like, cover. So she's like a cover teacher within the school. And yeah, she was always like, I'd get battered if I'd get a B in it. Not battered physically, but, like, I use that as a loose term. I'd get shouted at if I got, like, a B or a C, or if one of my teachers said, like, I was talkative. She's like, why are you talkative? Why are you not learning? And then, like, when I went to college, like, I don't know why. I think I was trying to impress them. I picked, like, the hardest subjects possible at college. So
What was it?
I did maths, physics, chemistry, and biology.
Oh yeah.
And then I did critical thinking as well as an extra AS level for no fucking no reason. Like, so not only do, like, and I didn't realise the jump from GCSE and how demanding that would be to do, because I was like, well, I do maths, I do English and science and all these other things at school, and it's less subjects, it'll be easier. I didn't understand the depth that you'd have to go to in the subjects, and I was like, this is fucking heavy. I should have done something. I should have done something to break it up, like PE or something like that wasn't so heavy. And I really struggled because, like, I did my maths GCSE early as well. I think I sat a lot of my GCSEs in year 10. So, like, year 11, there was very little pressure, because I'd done most of them and got A's in most of them. So I was like, some of them I've sat again just to try and beat my last score, but there was no like waiting for the exam result at the end of year 11 to see whether I got in college. and like I didn't really like focus on my A levels too much because I'd breezed school. And I was like, I don't really have to try for this. It's fucking. Whenever all the kids were revising, I was like, I passed on mine in year 10. So I did, because we got put in early basically as like a punt, see how well we did, and I got like 9 A's. So I was like, it's year 11, fuck, then I don't know how to do enough. So I didn't do any revision because I passed most of them. Then when I got into college, like fuck me, my first set of AS level results were awful, like awful. I think I got C, D, E, and U. My maths one was, bearing in mind maths was my strongest subject. My maths one, A-level maths is just like another demon, like on top of high school maths. And it was that bad that one of the universities that I applied for pulled its offer. It was, I won't say which one it was, but like it was like a very, very prestigious university to go and do chemistry. And my AS level result, my first lot of AS results were that bad that they pulled my offer. They were like, you're not going to make these grades. And I was like, you're not even giving me a chance to do them. And they're like, you fucked it that badly. We don't think you're going to get it. And we'd rather than not even give you a conditional offer. So that was...
How was that for you?
That was the first time I'd ever failed anything like academically. And it was a bit of a weird one because then I did chemistry at MMU. I could have gone to Manchester to do chemistry and I didn't. I went to MMU because the entry level was easier and I knew I'd get it. So I actually had offers from MMU and from Manchester University to do chemistry. And I picked chemistry at MMU because the entry levels were easier. So I knew there was very little to slim to no chance of me failing to get in. Because it was the first time I'd failed. I was like, oh my God, like if I do this again, like I'm not actually going to be able to go to university. And that was been such like a big thing in my family because my mum hadn't been and my dad hadn't been. Like my mum and dad didn't even go to college. Didn't even
so
get
at that point
GCSEs.
in your life, you had no idea that you would have built something.
Absolutely not. No fucking clue. Like I always like daydreamed about being successful, which like when people say like visualizing now, it's probably a very similar trait. Like I used to always like want a nice car and nice things and stuff like that. My mum and dad worked really hard. Like my dad worked a manual job for a lot of years, like away from home as well. So like, you know, we were looked after very well when we were kids, like through that. Like we never had loads of money, like, but you know, for having no qualifications, like we had a very stable life, which was nice. But I forgot where I was going with this now. Oh, about having like a traditional job and stuff like that. So yeah, when I left, like, yeah, my mum was dead upset, like that I left.
Yeah,
she was always very much down the educational, stable job route. Even like being a teacher, she was like, oh my God, like I'm so proud of you being a teacher. I was earning 24 grand a year. Like I could have earned more as a manager, like in a retail shop or something like that.
Yeah.
And like people used to be like, when I used to be like, oh, I'm a teacher, they'd be like, you're a teacher. Obviously, because I don't look like a teacher as well, I think it was a bit of a shock. But like people used to be like, like impressed by it. And then when I left to be a PT, like when people would be like, what'd you do? And you're like, oh, you're PT, they'd like roll their eyes. They'd be like, oh, of course you are.
Yeah.
Some of them even went, of course you are, as if like I was a PT to cover up other stuff, which some people do.
I mean, if you say online coach nowadays.
Yeah, it's like selling dogs, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm an online coach and I sell dogs and other things. But yeah, like, so, but I'm like you, like my parents don't really get it.
Yeah. I think it's normal though. Like it's not even their fault.
It's just a generational gap.
Yeah,
like,
they don't know it. Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people think we're like scam artists, you know, when we like do ads and stuff like that. And we're like, you know, you can earn 10 grand a month online. Like it's always people over 40 that are like, fucking scam artist.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he's chatting shit. Like it's not doable. Like no one ever does that. And I'm thinking like, off our body of evidence of the clients that we've had, I'm like, and it sounds really weird because I don't want to trivialize it because I'm from a community where earning 10 grand a month is like not done. Nobody does it. Like if somebody had a job earning 10 grand a month, like when I grew up, I'd be like, are you a footballer? Like what the fuck do you do? But like, obviously from the data we've seen of our clients, it's like, we almost don't even like celebrate anymore, which is really weird. And we probably need to keep doing stuff like that because it is an achievement, but it's so normal.
Yeah,
for the people that come in the program that like, and I know, and to be fair, like online coaching as a whole, like, you know, people earn 5-6 grand a month and you're like, oh, you're doing okay.
Yeah.
If you earn 5-6 grand a month from a job in the corporate world, you're like, you're doing really fucking well. Like,
yeah.
and online coaching, like, yes, Well, what's the next step then? Like,
Yeah.
it's almost batted off like, oh, you're
Yeah.
over the first hurdle. Like, well done, you've not left. And which is fucking crazy. But I just think that's the way the world's going.
Yeah, for sure. And I think there will always be room for coaching. I think coaching is one of the jobs of the future.
Yeah.
And it's not just like fitness coaching. It could be any kind of coaching, but you could potentially buy, coaching from different people for different skills, and everyone could be a coach.
It's a platform for skill sets, like skill sets where normally you would like, there is no fucking way you can make a job out of that because you would never reach the amount of people needed. Like if you were a mindset coach, for example, and you lived in North Manchester, how many people really about North Manchester are going to want life coaching, like mindset coaching about work? Where do you even find the people? You're not going to networking events, or trying to go to networking events, but everyone that goes to a networking event is somebody trying to sign up people from a networking event. So this ends up being a load of service providers and nobody that actually wants to buy anything. So what do you sell? I sell coaching. What about you? I do coaching too. And it's just a room full of people that are trying to sell coaching to successful people. None of the successful people actually have time to turn up to these networking events. So, but that was it, weren't it? Or like PR, or like taking an advert out on a fucking paper. Like social media now has give people a platform to find people from like everywhere.
Yeah.
Like we have, we don't really like do international clients really, but like we have some people that get on calls and like, we're supporting, like, where are you from? Like, oh, it's 5 a.m. here. Like some guy was like, I'm from Texas. And I was like, where the fuck did you find us? And he's like, oh, I just saw you online. And we're like, really? And he's like, yeah. And so that to me just fucking boggles me like completely. But we have people like up and down the country. Like when we run our fitness business, it was like 2-3 people removed from people that we knew. But like this has developed to the point where it's like just fucking random people that I've never met before. Like, and I think
when you
it's
have the
just
right
social
systems
media.
in place, it's like you can scale to,
Oh,
whatever,
like
really.
Yeah. Sometimes it's silly. Like I actually think that. So it's probably easy. It's like everyone says this to us, like, oh, well, business coaching's easier money, or you make more money business coaching. And I'm like, well, not particularly, because you think how small our target market is. Like we work with personal trainers, online coaches that make like $2,000 a month minimum that want to get to 10. Think about how many people that is, right? On a scale of like the whole population.
Yeah, especially if you're only doing in England.
Right, there's 70,000 registered personal trainers. That's not including people that actually don't use the qualification anymore. That's also assuming that they are
Making enough.
able to work online, making $2,000, want to go online in the first place, even know about us. So it's a smaller pool. Fat loss coach, or like, body transfer, online PT. How many people are overweight and unhappy about it?
So many.
The pool is endless.
of course.
Yes, it's a bit noisier. I'd argue probably a lot noisier.
Yeah.
But
There's more competition.
yeah, but the fucking pool is endless and it keeps growing and it will continue to keep growing.
Yeah.
And so like easy is a relative term. Like it may be easier to make more money in the initial stages just because the ticket's bigger. But like, if you ask me like which is the easiest to get to 20 million, fitness. Because we'll run out of people.
Yeah, probably.
We'll run out of people before we get there. There won't be a £100 million business coaching program. There will definitely be £100 million fitness empires.
I suppose at that point, well, first of all, it's a higher ticket, but I suppose at that point it will be more about opening to just coaching in general, not just
but even
fitness
then,
coaching.
I think the pool will run short before
probably.
100 mil.
Probably, unless you completely beat the competition.
That's it. Like when you get to that level, you're not just scrapping against like Johnny PT. Like the people that you're up against are like really, really intelligent, thought out, established business people. Yeah. And then it's another identity crisis of like, why the fuck would anyone pay me over them? Like they've made all this money and been here for X amount of years. So it's different. It's different challenges.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, what's the next steps for you with yours? What does the next 3-month, 6-month journey look like for you?
Well, for me, it's about getting my coaches fully booked and then hiring another coach I already kind of spoke to. So I already know who that would be. And then, just keep scaling from there. I think also like just buying back a little bit of extra time, not for myself, but just mostly to do other tasks in the business, do more content, more of the things that can drive the business forward, and just, continue down that route. I'd like to get a bit more into like life coaching or mindset coaching, but I think that is just happening organically.
Yeah.
And it's just what our service is about anyway. I'm also really enjoying our live events. So it'd be nice if those became some sort of thing that we do a bit more often, and perhaps we do more like paid events or bigger events in general. But yeah, that's about it for now. I remember when we met for, when was it? For Lewis event. I asked you like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And you were like, I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I asked myself the same question. I was like, I don't fucking know either.
This kind of stuff, I think, changes so quickly that it's really difficult to.
Also, you might be limiting yourself.
I try and not. Yeah. Sometimes when I set a 5-year plan and then I'm like, I could probably do that in like one really if I really pushed it. Yeah. And then you just lose scope of the 5-year plan because you squish your 5-year plan into 12 months and you're like, fuck it, might as well try.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah. And where can people find you, Julian, if they want to find out a bit more about what you do?
Instagram is probably the best place. So just at Julian.Sollai.
Spell Sollai for us.
Sollai.
There we go. Because I'd spell it wrong. I would spell it with one L because I'm a dickhead.
Yeah, well.
But thank you very much for coming on.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.